Guys, so we've nailed Qatar. So it looks like they'll be the first team to go home. So that's fine. We've buried them and all of that. But guys, on the flip side though, and y'all mentioned it, the social and everything, let's just spend a few minutes talking about the politics of it, right? I don't think I've ever seen a competition that has gone through the burner like this, where from day one, when Qatar was handed the hosting rights, all kinds of things have been said. I've read, watched, listened to various things on migrant workers, and Qatar shouldn't host the World Cup, and nobody wants to go, and we'll wear human rights T-shirts. Daniel, let me start off with you. Your thoughts on just watching this and watching the narratives that have developed around Qatar hosting the 2022 World Cup.
Look, I'll go back to what Susu said earlier. It's just the consistency that I want. First of all, there's no perfect country in this world. There's not one. And if we are going to focus on the wrongs of every country, then nobody will have a right to host an international competition. Yes, Qatar have their downsides. They are clear, they are obvious. But I think this constant attack at them, for me, it's, and especially where it's coming from, that's my problem. Honestly, if it was Africa who was making this much noise, maybe you can understand. But I don't think the Western world and Europe have a right to consistently throw accusations at Qatar, considering what they've also done. Well, the next World Cup is in USA, Mexico, and Canada. Then I don't think USA also have a right to host a World Cup.
The kind of human rights and discussions about colonialism and stuff and Aboriginal rights in Canada is very
even
serious.
Today, police brutality, until they fix that, I don't think the world will, because I don't think Africans will feel safe, black people traveling there. So everybody can pick and choose what they want and hammer it and make it a big deal. I just think, look, it's football. A country has won the rights to host the World Cup. Let us appreciate, look at the quality of the opening ceremony yesterday. Let us appreciate the beauty. Let us appreciate and respect their culture. Go there, enjoy the football, come back and continue with your lives. Because you see, you can't force your way of thinking on others, and you don't expect them to also force their way of thinking on you. When you go to Rome, you do what the Romans do. When we go to America, we follow their rules. When you go to France, you follow their rules. You come to Africa, you follow. So when you are going there, you just do what they permit you to do, and then leave. If you know you can't do it, nobody is forcing you to go there. So if you know you can't do it, then you stay at home and you enjoy it on TV, like we are doing here. So honestly, nobody's holding the neck of anyone to no. It's free will. Respect, enjoy the football, and let's move on with our lives. We want to enjoy what the players are doing on the pitch, not what is happening in the background, because it's very hypocritical. As I said, we've seen it time and time again. I remember the Beijing Olympics, years before they start. Every morning when you put on your TV, there's they look at the clouds, they look, see the pollution, it's not safe. They were measuring the content of the air, and come on, man, let's just enjoy. But when it was London 2012, we didn't see anything like that. We didn't. Then it went to Rio, and we saw all sorts of things with the Zika virus and how people are dying and how it's so unsafe to go to Brazil. Remember 2010, the 2010 World Cup, and the crime rate in South Africa. They'll rob you if you're on the streets. They'll do this. No. Let's just enjoy. And the funny thing is that...
The one you missed out is the Vuvuzela controversy. Remember how big that was? Come on, Vuvuzela.
Some of them are so unnecessary. And the interesting thing is that the tournaments that have the most attention in terms of bad publicity, they go on to be one of the best. Beijing, standard Olympics. You look at the FIFA World Cup in South Africa. Excellent. And honestly speaking, with the infrastructure and what we are seeing in Qatar, I think it's going to go down as one of the best. Yesterday, you look at the football, the pitch, the stadium, the opening ceremony. Brilliant scenes, and I think it's going to continue today. If you look at the quality of matches that we have lined up for today, maybe the noise will stop when Iran beats England, and I'm really hoping that happens, because maybe to stop when Iran beats England and Wales beats USA today. Then they'll concentrate on the football, because then they'll see that that is where their minds need to go to, instead of focusing on some of the, honestly, for me, unnecessary things.
So do you wish to see sporting retribution
Oh no, I just want to see the best team win. I have to say, I have a controversial opinion about the World Cup, and one of the controversies, which is the time of year it's played.
Okay.
I don't think it's actually a bad thing for host countries to move the World Cup based on their climate. And I say this because the June-July World Cup is favored for the European football calendar. But if you look around the world, not everyone plays football September to May. August to May, wherever
August
you want to call it. Yes, so having the World Cup June-July favors a certain type of country. But look at Russia, their season starts in February. Iceland, they can't play football during the winter because it's too cold. So they only have 6 months of the year. You go to the Southern Hemisphere, you look at the Brasileiro, Argentinian league. They just finished their league season since the World Cup started. So clearly, June, July, they will be playing football and you'll be having a World Cup. So I honestly believe that we should be thinking more about having World Cups at different times because it's once every 4 years. We can take the kind of the disruption for that once every 4 years and then just fix it the next year. Because I look at, and you listen to some of the controversy around these World Cups, like you said, when it's outside the Europe. And so in 2002, the whole thing about Japan, Korea was the monsoon season, that it's going to rain. So if that's the case, why not let them have the World Cup at a time of year that suits them? Because remember, the key word is the World Cup. It's not the European Cup that the world is being invited to. So I feel like every country should have the chance because we play our tournaments January, February. We have a reason for that because if we were to play them in June, July, ideally, let's say without climate change and stuff, we know that climate change is making things confused, but in those times of the month, it's going to rain. Who wants to go and sit in the stadium and it's torrential rain, you know, that kind of thing. So I feel that we should actually, this Qatar World Cup might actually show us that maybe we should be a bit more flexible in the time we host the World Cup. Because I don't think we lose anything from the 6 weeks we play now. Maybe the games being a bit compressed before was not the best for players' injuries and that kind of stuff. I can admit that. But I can also counter by saying that, look, we still haven't fully recovered from the COVID postponement and how it affected football. Because remember, the season after COVID, we started in October and we finished normal time. We compressed that and then we did it again. So there's all these things, but I think that we should be a bit more open-minded about when we play the World Cup. I know June, July has been the classic. We've done it all the time. But people complain about June, July once it's not in Western Europe. So why not be more flexible and say that if it's in this part of the world, we play at this time because it's better. So that's my one thing I've taken away from the World Cup. I think we should be a bit more open-minded going forward. And I hope FIFA also allow countries to say, look, we prefer to play it at this time for this and this reasons because it will give us a better experience. I
mean, I know you've mentioned it. Just a quick note before we go on a break. It makes me think about footballers and what they make of the sighting or the scheduling of the World Cup. For example, what we have this year. I think about it and I ask myself, wow, will footballers like to play another World Cup mid-season? Because it means that at the end of the season, there's no tournament. Maybe they get an extended break. I don't know. I don't know if you've ever looked at it from that perspective, from the angle of the footballers who won't have football in June now that it's being played in the middle of the year or at least in the middle of the season.
I guess it only affects the ones, again, who play in Western Europe. Though that will be the majority because of that's where the money is. Blah, blah. But you look at certain teams, they have the Arab teams, at least, Saudi Arabia and Qatar, they don't have barely any players in Western Europe. So for them, I don't know how their football calendar is. I would doubt it's too much of an issue not playing at those times, you know. So I think we should just, I think people are a bit hung up on this calendar thing. I think that's the least of the issues. Because like I said, some of the issues, they are pertinent. I think they are very important to be talked about. But it's easy for the Qataris to dismiss these rights. These concerns they are valid concerns, but it's easy. They've made the hypocrisy of politics and the way the world has made it easy for Qatar to say, well, you're hypocrites. When that shouldn't be the case, they should be addressing controversy. But like you said, he without sin should cast the first stone. Exactly. So once you can't cast the first stone, we have to enjoy the World Cup like that.
I like the fact that you're quoting the Bible.
So she's quoting the Bible. So that's something quite interesting. So at least us here, we are happy with the World Cup. No matter when and where it is played, we are happy. Even though some people don't think they should go to the Far East again.
I mean, the time difference won't be fun, but
6 a.m.
Why should it be that? Because of, and more people live there than not in the rest of the world. Because China, India alone is about 2.8 billion people, and we just crossed the 8 billion mark. So because if anything, we should be playing more World Cups at their time so that they can
Yeah, but the point is,
they are the biggest audience.
How many countries in that part of the world, say the Far East, can actually take on?
We're not saying that, but we're just saying that if we are to be doing it to convenience the most people, we should be playing World Cups at the best time for Japan, Indonesia, China, India, etc. Because that's what that part of Asia is 4 billion people, and we are saying that we want to convenience the 700 million people in Europe. No, it doesn't make sense to me from a demographic perspective. So.
All right, interesting thoughts from my guys on today's World Cup Daily. You're watching Citi TV.